Good afternoon. My name is Christine Torres. I am the Assistant Director for the Pioneer Center for Student Excellence, and I am on the Houston campus. Today, we are going to be discussing the key to academic success, time management. Let's get started by defining what time management is. Time management is the process of planning and organizing how to allocate time effectively and efficiently to accomplish specific tasks and goals. We're going to start off today's workshop by participating in a short activity. What I'm going to ask everyone to do is to close your eyes and open your eyes when you think a minute has passed. So let me repeat it again. You're going to close your eyes. Once you think a minute has passed, simply open your eyes. And I will tell you when to start. Ready? Eyes closed. And when you think a minute has stopped, open your eyes. Go. If you're just now joining us, just close your eyes. And when you think a minute has passed, open them. Stop. So that was my alarm. So how many people still, you can open your eyes if they're still open. How many of you still had your eyes closed by the time the alarm went off? Let me see you in the chat. I had some people who did. Let me see your emojis. You were at 54 seconds in your head, so you counted. Okay, Alejandra. We had some people who still had their eyes open. Did anybody feel mine's opened 1 second before you said time's up? Good, good, good. So did anybody feel like they opened their eyes too soon? Way too soon. I opened mine too early. Yes, this is an interesting activity because it helps us understand something very important. Everybody's perception of time varies. So somebody thought it was too long. No, I felt like, what did he say? I felt like, hold on, I'm going through my chats. They should be open. Okay. The key here is to understand that, especially since we're talking about time management, the key is to understand that everybody's perception of time varies. So your perception of time is going to be different from somebody else you are working with, somebody else that's in your classroom, maybe taking a test. And it also varies from situation to situation. If you're waiting in the office at the doctor's office and you're waiting for the doctor to come in, 30 minutes can go by and it can feel like a whole hour or 2 hours. But if you're entertained while you're in there, if you are a child and it's playing with an activity or doing something else than physically waiting, mentally to see a doctor, might seem like time just blows by. So I think that's important for us to know going into this. From a show of hands, how many of you feel that time management has to do with academic success? Anyone? Yes, me. I see some hands. Sure, yes. It definitely does. Improved productivity is one of the reasons, or is one of the attributes of maintaining time management when it comes to academic success. If you use a schedule, if you plan, if you do everything in advance, it might feel like you can get so much more done. If you know you have a lot on your plate, maybe you have work, maybe you have outside commitments, maybe you have a family. If you can schedule everything, it helps to reduce stress. If you're able to plan ahead and know that you have an exam in a month and you're able to do a little bit a week or a little bit every few days, then you're going to be better prepared for the exam versus cramming. And it also helps you with a sense of increased independence. So if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not going to be able to spend as much time on an assignment, that's taking away from your independence. So having good time management skills can help you have greater flexibility. You can participate in more things and you can do more things. Overall, time management is a critical skill for academic success, as it allows you to make the most of your time, stay on top of your responsibilities, and achieve your goals. I'm going to get out of this screen really quickly and give me a second. Okay, so it's key to remember this, right? To achieving your goals. That's what we're all here for today. So let's look at a few strategies. Let's go ahead and dive straight in and look at some strategies for managing time. Pomodoro Technique. Has anybody heard of the Pomodoro Technique? What the Pomodoro Technique, I love Pomodoro. What the Pomodoro Technique states is what you want to do is identify a task. Once you've identified the task, you're going to set a timer and you're going to work for 25 minutes. So I'm going to turn my screen back on so you can see me. And if you look here, this is a tomato. It is a kitchen timer that was used by Francesco Cirillo. And it was a kitchen timer. This is all he had to come up with 25 minutes. So Pomodoro actually means tomato in Italian. So just an interesting fact. So what you want to do is pick a task that you're going to be working on, set your timer for 25 minutes until the timer goes off, take a short 5-minute break, and then do the Pomodoro again. Try to get to at least 4 Pomodoros before you take an extended break, and the extended break can be about 15 to 20 minutes. Another strategy, the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule was created by David Allen, and he's known as the world's leading authority on personal and organizational productivity. The 2-minute rule of productivity states that it's basically if you stop to write down that you need to make a phone call, then you think about it, and then you process it, and then you reflect it, it's going to take longer than 2 minutes to go through that whole process. So just go ahead and bite the bullet and go for the 2-minute rule, and just take care of that action. It'll save you some time in the long run. Time boxing. Has anybody heard of time boxing? Time boxing might be new. It's fairly new to me as well. Let me show you this quick video.
So I started managing my time like Elon Musk. So I go and write down everything that
Can you hear, first of all, can you hear this? Can I get a yes or no? Yes, awesome.
I want to get done for the day, and then my top 3 priorities.
So somebody can't hear it. Check your volume, Megan, because it seems like everybody else can hear this.
To make sure those get done over everything else. And then I go and assign everything a time, either whether it be an hour or a half an hour. Then I also like to make sure that I add in when my stop for the workday is, whether it be 5 or 6, I write hard stop and then cross out everything after that. So that way I know I'm not going to work anymore. This has definitely helped me stay focused, and it's cool because I can look at it.
So it's a great tool for focusing. And what you do is you create a to-do list, you identify your top 3 priorities, and you assign a time to complete them. If you know that you have class, or if you have a meeting with your peers or a tutor group, then you're going to eliminate that block of time and then focus in on the time that you do have left. One of the good things I like about this quick video is it does state that you want to create a block off time. So If you're not going to do any schoolwork past 8 o'clock, block that off so that you know that you need to complete those tasks within that time allotted. The Eisenhower matrix. Has anybody heard of the Eisenhower matrix? Yeah. So the Eisenhower matrix was created by President Eisenhower. It is a productivity, prioritization, and time management framework designed to help you prioritize a list of tasks. So let's dive into what this looks like.
Okay, I finally found what boosts my metabolism, and it's not.
We've got to get through the ads.
Bad diet. We'll see.
Sometimes we can all get overwhelmed by a tremendous to-do list, so much to do in a day. And so when I feel that way, I use this tool called the Eisenhower Time Management Matrix. You may be familiar with it, but just in case you're not, it's the process of planning and managing tasks from your daily to-do list, allowing you to prioritize and focus your time on those tasks that will make you most effective. First of all, just draw a simple 4-quadrant matrix on a page, and then label each of the quadrants urgent, not urgent, important, not important. And then in no particular order, write down all the tasks you have to complete. And then populate each of the quadrants with all of the items from your to-do list, categorizing them in accordance to their importance and their urgency. And so as you can see, it just helps to get some real visual clarity around all of those important tasks on your to-do list. And it also helps you to have clarity around those less urgent, less important tasks that you can either delegate to someone else or do at some other time. It works really well. I've been using it for years.
So with the Eisenhower matrix, you're basically categorizing, you're creating a brain dump of everything that you need to do. So you're creating so somebody you are familiar with it. Awesome. So you're creating a brain dump, putting everything down on paper that you need to do, and you're assigning it a level of priority. So then you can structure your day, your week, whatever's in front of you. So whatever you're planning for. Again, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to drop those in the chat or take yourself off of mic. So the next thing we have is this chart called the state of flow. It was invented by a professor by the name of Mihai. And if you have ever been in a situation where you're just focusing, you're completing a task that needs to be done, and you lose track of time, has this ever happened to anyone? Yes. Yes. Awesome. So sometimes we're like, yes, I was in my zone. Like, don't interrupt me. I know what I'm doing. Well, let's look at the chart. So the chart basically states that we start at the bottom quadrant. And when we have a task, if it's too easy, it can cause boredom. So we shift to the right. It's the right on my screen. And if it's too hard, it can cause anxiety, which is where the challenges are. So the goal is to stay in the middle. You want to stay in the middle and you want to be in the flow channel. So the flow channel is the state in which you are so focused on an activity that time flies by. This is where we want to be, and this is where we would like to continue as we're especially working through maybe difficult tasks or tasks you might be avoiding. Identify your flow channel. So how do we identify our flow channel? How do we know that we can stay consistent and stay away from anxiety and boredom as much as possible? Know yourself. Are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? Maybe you're anxious because you haven't eaten. Maybe you're anxious because you have a lot to do. Well, we need to be able to identify what these causes are. Use incentives. Tell yourself things like, once I complete this task, I will be able to make a trip to a restaurant with your friends. Set specific goals and most important, stick to a schedule and stick to being consistent. So how you know yourself and how you use these incentives and stick to a schedule and set specific goals is a great way for you to stay within that flow channel. Going back to know yourself, if you know that you tend to get distracted in your dorm, in your room, in your home, find a place that's less distractive for you so that you can stay more engaged with the material that you're working on. Some more strategies. These are for self-motivation. So sometimes we might go through everything we just talked about. We've used some of these strategies. we still can't get to where we need to be to actually complete something we're working on. So let's look at this quick video. This is called the 5-second rule.
And the 5-second rule is very simple. The moment you have an instinct to move, you got to do it within 5 seconds or your brain will kill it. When you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you interrupt habit loops. And the counting backwards requires focus. So it awakens this sucker right here, your prefrontal cortex. It's referred to as a starting ritual in habit research, a cheat code for your brain.
So you just heard from Mel Robbins. She is a motivational speaker, and the reason she created this is because she was going through a point in her life where she was having difficulties just getting out of bed. Her alarm would ring and she wouldn't have the motivation to get out of bed. So she started counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Her rationale for doing this was the liftoff for a space shuttle. Basically, they go through the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there's no turning back. They basically have to take off. So she used this as an incentive to challenge herself. Make less plan Bs. So if you have an assignment that is due in a week and you don't do it early enough and you figure, well, maybe I can work on it Saturday. It's not due till Sunday. No, just tell yourself, I need to do this now. I need to take care of this now. Even though I have time on Saturday, I would like to focus on me Saturday. So I'm going to get this done today. Create a brain dump. This was mentioned in one of the earlier activities, and you're basically going to write everything that's going on in your thought process. Actions you need to perform, any phone calls you need to make, any assignments that are due, any bills that need to be paid, anything that is going on with your you being able to process fully what you need to do or stay motivated. Write it all down and then go back and use the Eisenhower matrix to identify, well, what is actually priority? What is something that needs to be done now? Eliminate distractions. We tend to forget that sometimes we have internal and external distractions. So maybe you're focused on what you got to do at work, maybe an upcoming trip that you have, and you're not fully concentrated or have the motivation to continue doing maybe the task at hand. Journal, talk to somebody about it, tell yourself, right now, I'm sitting here, I'm trying Pomodoro, I'm going to get through this reading assignment. I am going to write my thought down and I'm going to continue getting through my reading because I've got 15 minutes left. External distractions can be things like our phones, our classmates, maybe an obligation that you have coming up that you're worried about. So we want to be sure that we eliminate as many distractions as possible to get us to focus and to feel more motivated. We also want to set SMART goals. Has anybody heard of SMART goals? Great. So I love to tell students, as long as you get the concept of what a SMART goal is, you will tell yourself, Carissa, is this smart for you to do? Martha, is this smart for you to do? Sydney, is this smart for you to do? We want to be sure that the things that we're setting ourselves up for, that they are realistic, right? They're realistic goals. And a good way to keep consistent with what you do when you set your goals is to be specific, measurable, make sure that it is attainable, relevant, and time-bound. If you have at least a handful of these components in your goals, you are more than likely going to meet your goals. So this is an example of a goal. It's not using SMART goals. And this is a goal to create a better habit. So we're going to say, I will create a routine that will improve my academic performance this semester. Can this be written better to be more specific? Most definitely. Let's look at what that would look like. So this is a SMART goal. I will establish a successful daily routine for the spring semester with a wake-up time, nourishing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and an afternoon workout. It's specific, we can measure it, it's something that we can attain, it's relevant, and it's time-bound. It has a little bit of everything, so this is going to be easier for you to accomplish this goal versus just saying, I want to create a routine. We're not being specific. We're not saying that it's daily, weekly, monthly. We're not being specific enough, so it's not time bound. So this is just an example to give you an idea of what a SMART goal is. So think about what you would like your goal to be. You have short-term goals and long-term goals. A long-term goal is something that takes longer than a year to meet. Short-term goals are anything less than a year. So for today's purpose, let's just think of this semester. Let's just think of this week, and then create a goal around what you would like to do based on something that you've gone back and realized, well, maybe I could have done this better last semester, or maybe I could have done better with this part last week. So what are your time wasters? Let me hear from you. What are your favorite things to do when you are not focused on schoolwork, work? What would that be? Feel free to take yourself off of the mic. Social media scrolling, binge watching, sleeping. I love to sleep too. Going through emails, social media, shopping, and then with online shopping, my goodness. Card games with family, TikTok. Yeah, well, the good news is that you'll no longer have TikTok as a distraction as long as you are using TWU Wi-Fi, because that has been blocked from our Wi-Fi and on campus. Just on your phone, social media. Anything else? Time wasters? Sleep, time with family. And guys, there's nothing wrong with time wasters, because this is a form of relaxation, a form of de-stressing, a form of unplugging. The key here is to schedule it or use this as an incentive, right? We talked about incentives a couple slides ago. I'll get on TikTok, but only after I have completed this journal entry. So let's see, we've got one more comment. Reading, journaling, writing poetry, sleeping, and watching my favorite TV shows and movies. These are my main things, and my phone. There's so many things. Hanging out with friends when I have time. Yes, you do have time, Sydney. We just need to schedule it, okay? So procrastination. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing something. So procrastination normally looks like this, or can look like this. This is the procrastination cycle. We start off with procrastinate, then we feel guilty, then we panic, and then we make excuses. Can anybody relate to this?
Totally, yes.
I do too, believe it or not, guys. We all feel this pressure. Sometimes we need the pressure, sometimes we don't, but we get stuck here. And I don't want this for you guys. I want you to continue to be successful. I want you to jump out of this circle and to be able to be productive with your day, your time, your week, your semester. So let's make a commitment today to eliminate procrastination and time wasters. And I want you to keep in mind that we're looking for progress, not perfection. I'm not saying cut off your family that's not helping you with staying on time. I'm not saying completely disengage with your phone, with your friends. I'm saying progress. Understand what your limits are, understand what your responsibilities are, understand what your obligations are, and most importantly, understand what your SMART goal is for this semester or this week, okay? This is what I want us to start thinking. So sometimes when we procrastinate, we can have consequences, and it might look like this. It might look like your grades are starting to decrease. You're not completing your tasks. You're not meeting your goals. You might be missing out on obligations and opportunities, and our self-esteem takes a hit, okay? These are some consequences if we stay in this procrastination cycle, but everybody's going to make a promise to me today that we are going to do our best to get out of this procrastination cycle, right? Take time to reflect. I want you to think about last week, and I want you to think about what worked well. I want you to ask yourself, what was challenging? What will I keep doing, improve doing, and stop doing? Does somebody want to share something that they've already reflected on? Are we still reflecting?
I can share. Last week I had reading for a class that was on Monday.
Mhm.
And so I planned to do that reading on Saturday and Sunday. And I had tasks also to do for the class. So I found that I spent more time on the task than on the reading. So it did not work well. But what I've started doing this week is breaking it down, like looking at the number of pages to be read and deciding how much I need to read each day in order to meet the goal. And I think that's helpful and working well.
Yes, I am doing my happy dance because that is awesome. That is a process called chunking. If you stop and take a minute to do the planning, and I tell students, like, try to plan on Sundays. If you plan on Sunday afternoons, plan 2 weeks out and say, okay, I have to do readings. Let me stop. Let me look at how many pages I have to do. Let me look at how many PowerPoints I have to do and break it up into smaller, manageable chunks. So thank you for sharing and to giving us some enlightenment on another strategy that we can use. Chunking is a good one. So take some time to reflect. If we don't take the time to reflect, then we're going to continue in this cycle of bad habits. So our goal is to acknowledge that what we're doing is either working or not working, and then figure out if any changes need to be made. So why do we procrastinate? Would anybody like to share why they procrastinate? Does anybody not know why they procrastinate?
So I know I personally procrastinate because I always think I have more time. And so I'm like, oh, I'll just do it later. Like, I have, 2 more days to finish it. I have 1 more day to finish it. I have a couple hours to finish it. It'll be fine. And so I just keep putting it off because I think, like, I'm sure of myself that I already know I have time to finish it.
Underestimating time. Who else?
Procrastination. I have to say that I usually do it because I think I have more time or that I could finish it in one day. And then I end up being really stressed out.
Yes, so stress. I tell students, try to move your deadline up by 1 day. It creates a little bit more pressure. And for anybody who thinks they work best under pressure, and when you're cramming, you actually have trained yourself to think that, so it's not necessarily true. You will probably do a lot better if you plan it. Amanda, go ahead.
So I find myself that I know this is gonna sound strange, but I can actually I feel like I do better when I'm more under pressure or under stress than when I'm not. And I think it's because of what you just said, that we train ourselves this way. But if I have too much time, then I don't tend to do as well than when I actually know, okay, I'm running short on time.
Yes.
I don't know, is that something normal?
It might be. I mean, I've been in situations to where I think I have a lot of time and end up running out of time. And other people have said the same thing today. So is it normal? Yes, it can be. Can it be better? Yes. Can you eliminate the stress? Yes. You can go and do the priority matrix. Okay. You can go in and do time boxing. You can do these things to control certain aspects or just certain times in your life. If you're just feeling stressed, let me just get this over with. So a prime example is, you have a term paper. If you look at your syllabus, you have a term paper, and it might be due May 31st. I have plenty of time. This is how we lose track of time, is because we tell ourselves we have too much time. Move your deadline up at least a week or at least a month to say, I'm going to pick my topic. I'm going to create a rough draft. I'm going to go to the right site to get it proofread so that I can improve my chances of getting a better grade on this paper. So this could be something that you could use. So thank you for sharing. Somebody wanted to ask a question. Rafat, are you there? Do you want to share? So let me just go through. We've got some activity going on in the chat. Awesome. Yes, it's overwhelming. And It's a lot. You feel like there's just so much more things that are more important. You're not going to be able to use the Eisenhower matrix on everything, but when you feel like you're especially stressed, let's figure out a game plan, right? Nobody goes on to the football field. Nobody goes on to the baseball field without having a plan of action. This is you getting that time to create that plan of action. So let's look at why we procrastinate. We talked about this. It could be stress, fear of failure, feeling overwhelmed, someone else is to blame, distractions, and you're just telling yourself, I'm just not ready, right? I have more time. Identify. This is what I want you to do. I want you to identify the reason behind why you are procrastinating. It is important to understand that procrastination has less to do with the task, but the emotion associated with the task. So identify the emotion behind the task. If you hate to write and you hate to do term papers, you are going to procrastinate, but you're not procrastinating the assignment. You just hate the writing. You just have to tell yourself, I am ready and I'm going to go ahead and start on this process, and I'm going to chunk it. I'm going to break it up into manageable parts. Ask yourself, am I avoiding this because it makes me anxious? Does it make me feel overwhelmed? Is it boring? Or do I need more information? Maybe the instructions weren't clear enough for you. Schedule an appointment with your professor to go over these instructions. Maybe you don't know how to write a paper. It's been some time. Go to the right site, set your appointment, go over the assignment, and create a plan to get started on this processing. Scaffolding helps me with term papers, setting more smaller deadlines throughout the semester. Correct. Yes, perfect. Introduction, outline, rough draft, everything that you need to do. So identify why, and then reach out for help. If you just can't get started, reach out for help. You have academic coaches. We'll go over just some more resources, but I'm an academic coach, somebody that can help you talk through these things and help you set this plan and this goal in place. But feeling overwhelmed can cause you to just freeze and not move forward. So if you recognize this is where you're at, reach out for help and tell yourself, right? Motivate yourself daily with good thoughts and see how things get easier, okay? Look at the strategies we've looked at today, that we've discussed today, and try implementing these. Strategies for overcoming procrastination. Just do it. Just get started. Apply some of the strategies you've learned, and then here's the chunking. Break tasks into manageable chunks, and this is also referred to as scaffolding. Get organized before you start. So if you know that you're going to spend a full day studying and you haven't eaten, more than likely you're going to get hungry. So eat before you get in, take a snack with you so you don't have an excuse to leave. Have these things ready, and then eliminate distractions. And we've talked about a couple of strategies on how to eliminate these distractions. Self-advocacy and campus supports. So self-advocacy is an individual's ability to effectively communicate, convey, negotiate, or assert their own interests, desires, needs, and rights. These are just some of the services that you have access to as a TWU student. So definitely take advantage of this. You have library, you have the Academic Resource Center, you have academic coaching, you have Campus Alliance for Resource Education, Career Connections. They help with resumes, interview skills, things of that nature, career paths. You have the Center for Student Leadership, Counseling and Psychological Services. So if you're feeling this anxiety and you're dealing with some personal issues, some family issues, some relationship issues, anything that you need help processing, please reach out to our CAPS office. They also have Meta, which is free telehelp. You can download the app on your phone and meet with a therapist. And then our Counseling and Psychological Services, they do offer telehelp as well. So reach out to them if you need them. We have Disability Services. They provide accommodations for documented disabilities. Fit and Rec. If you just need to relieve some stress, if you just need to do something other than school and take a break, please visit our Fit and Rec office center. They have schedules of activities, they have outings, They have different activities. They have, classes. They have, I think, an introduction to water sports. They have a lot of activities just to keep you involved, because sometimes we just need that outlet to do something different. Health and well-being initiative. Our health and well-being initiative has different layers. They have a financial aspect. They have a wellness. They have different categories. There's 5 branches, but within there, they do have a meal swap program. So if you are ever on campus and you do not have the means to purchase lunch, please drop by and talk to them. The meal program is students who have donated unused funds for the dining hall. They've donated to Fit and Rec, and they have that opportunity to share that with people who might need that. Internships and experiential learning. We also have LinkedIn Learning. As a TWU student, you have free access to additional trainings. I did go into LinkedIn Learning and looked up time management, and there were over 100 different either podcasts or actual workshops that had to do with time management. So you can pretty much search anything that you want to do, and it doesn't have to be, it could be leisure as well. It's not just focused on strategies and skills. Our student health services and our trio support services. I am going to send the links to everybody for all of these resources. Thank you, Carissa. You've dropped the link in for CAPS. But within the presentation, I'll send you links to all of these departments. You can directly reach them. You can also go straight to the TWU website and Google any or search for any of these key terms, and you're bound to find something. Is Fit and Rec just for Denton? Is there Fit and Rec opportunities for? There's not Fit and Rec opportunities for the Houston campus, but they do have a gym, and they do have the TWU Move program. So we do have a student who is working with getting students up and around and doing some walking. So that's also something that you can do on the Houston campus. I've also had a lot of success with TWU counseling and family. Yes, they do family therapy clinics. Yeah, so I'll send everybody the links, and this is not inclusive. We have our student tutoring centers, we have our SLRC, and we have our Right Site, we have our psychology lab. There's more services, but the key is if it's not here, please reach out to me or send me an email, and I'm definitely, open to looking up these resources for you and getting you connected with the right departments. But remember, self-advocacy is your ability to communicate what you need and ask for this help so that we can get you on the path where you need to be. I just want to share before we wrap up that I do have a couple more.
Christine, sorry. There was a hand raise. I don't know if she's already.
I don't have that screen up. I'm sorry, it closed it.
Yeah, we have a hand raise. Amanda, did you have a question?
Oh, no. It was when I'm sorry.
It was from earlier?
when yes, sorry.
You're
okay.
And I had that screen up, but when I asked the last question, I accidentally closed it. So sorry. Thank you, Ms. Destiny. So let's go on to not here. And so I want to let you know that we do have upcoming workshops. If you're not able to attend, you'll still get a copy. I'll be doing the next one on February the 15th, which is techniques for taking useful and organized notes. And then we have Ms. Destiny Tolbert, who will be doing the March 8th, developing a self-care plan and preparing for finals with the plan. I have also want to show you, and I'll include this when I send this to everyone. We have a YouTube channel. If you click on playlist and you click on student success workshops, all of our workshops that have been pre-recorded from other semesters are in this tab here. I'm not going to click it because it'll start playing automatically. But do feel free to use this. I will drop this in the comment section right now so that you have this. Let's see. There's that. And then before I start taking questions, I do want to let you know that I have a survey. If you can please fill this out for attending today's workshop. I've also dropped that in the chat box, but My name is Christine Torres. I have all my contact information here. I will be sending it to you in a follow-up email, but what I'd like to do now is I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording.